Shalom, my little friends. Shalom. Not sure how this thing is hooked up. Sorry the weather has gotten to me, but okay, I'm hoping that this is going to work. We're only going to listen to just a few minutes of L.A. Marzulli speaking of this because the past few days has been absolutely amazing. My friend and I on YouTube have been speaking about the Nephilim, the giants, but only in the manner of another subject. But they were brought up. Then my neighbor comes over yesterday and he starts talking about we have a bunch of fossils, artifacts that are all over our porch because I walk everywhere I go, and so I've found lots down here in Tennessee. More archaeology needs to be done in Tennessee, but anyway, I digress. So he starts talking about Native Americans and the Indian mounds, and he was like, the Native Americans built the mounds. And I was like, no, they didn't. And he said, yeah, they built the mounds. And he said, and there are artifacts and stuff that are around the mounds. And he was like, so it doesn't surprise me that you're finding things. And I was like, my friend, I'm sorry, but the Native Americans did not build the mounds. I said, the giants, the Nephilim, built the mounds. Oh, no. And look, this guy is one that does not believe in the supernatural. Okay. And most people that do not believe in the supernatural do not believe in the giants. They do not think that the giants are real. I've even had pastors say, well, actually, I don't think that angels really had sex with women here on earth and they had giant children. I think that it's just symbolically speaking. And that's the way a lot of these older pastors take the word, as a symbolic way of speaking. And yes, in a way it is. The word of Yahuwah God Almighty is layers. There is so much going on with the giants, and they're mentioned all through the word of Yahuwah God Almighty. But L.A. Marzulli, I'm trying to stay off YouTube a little bit, and he was on here. I'm hoping that this will play for just a few minutes because I did some research. I'm going to show, but Yahusha through me, he's going to show y'all some things about the area that I live in, and how the serpent mounds are here. Let's just listen a little bit. Oh, wait. He asked, what's the second part of the question? And they said, why were the mounds built? Okay.
Completely blown away by. And it's all on film. We discovered it why the cameras were rolling. But we know that the sites, there's connectivity between them. And I show this in my book, Armor Trail of a Nephilim. And, you know, I've talked about it numerous times, but it only scratches the surface of it. America's Stonehenge is a 4,000-year-old site. We believe it's a Phoenician site, as does Dennis Stone, who owns the place and has spent his entire life researching it. And when you go to the summer solstice standing stone, where the sun sets on the summer solstice, and you draw a line from the center of their henge in New Hampshire, out to the summer solstice standing stone on Google Earth, and you continue to draw the line, and it will go thousands of miles, and eventually you will split the center trilithon in Stonehenge, England.
What's the center trilithon?
Yeah, in Stonehenge, England.
What is that part now? I'm sorry, the center trilithon.
Okay. 2 upright pillars of stone and a crosspiece, a lentil on top. And these are megaliths. They weigh a lot of tonnage, and it splits that thing dead center.
Wow.
So yeah, and you can't do this in the ancient world unless you're in the air, unless you know trigonometry, unless you can have 3 points on the ground and do it that way. You just there's no way to do it. And you show that to archaeologists. Oh, that's a really interesting coincidence, LA. Wow, I didn't know that. There's a connectivity because it's Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology. I believe these sites were all connected, part of a grid system, part of a way of communication, part of a way of traveling. All that's been lost. And I think the Most High God destroyed many of these sites.
So you think there was kind of like a World Wide Web back then?
Amen.
Bingo.
Yes.
In the days of Noah, there was a World Wide Web, but it was different than what we have now. 4,000, 5,000 years ago, the web was recreated and then destroyed. In modernity, where we are now, the web is back, and right now it's benign. But is it really? When Google can send out a blast to millions and millions of people and affect the election, is it really benign? Of course not. And that's what people don't understand. It's over. And I don't want to be a fatalist here, but if any of these clowns who are running for office on the Democratic side get into office, you can kiss this nation as we know it goodbye. And I mean that. All we need to do is look at the dystopia, which is becoming California. 30 years of liberal policies have completely ruined my state, our state, completely ruined it. And the homeless population, the needles everywhere, the opioid crisis. And oh, by the way, we'll just let as many homeless people as possible. We'll give them free stuff, yada, 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 from across the border. But God forbid if someone like L.A. Marzulli's house burns down, along with 800 and some odd people who lost their house in the fire. Let's make it as onerous and as hard as possible to get that building permit. Now, so far, it's been 9 months since the fire, and we don't have a building permit. We'll see what happens. And if it becomes crazy, I will go public with it. So far, they've been fair, but it's 9 months, and we don't, we're no closer now. We've got plans drawn. We want to rebuild. I miss it. I lived there for 40 years. That's my home. And the Lord gave that to me. And he gave me a stone, which I'm holding in my hand. It's on my desk. It's a promise stone. The Lord said, when I was there in May, he said, reach down and pick up a stone. I said, Lord, why? He said, pick up a stone. I picked up a stone from this circle of river rock, which I had created like 39 years ago. And the Lord spoke to me and said, that's your promise stone. The land is yours. The land is yours. And I just broke down and wept because I didn't expect that. And we're going to rebuild, and I'm excited about it. And I love what the Lord's done with us. We're in Oklahoma, but it's culture shock in some ways. I love the people here. The freeways are not crowded all day.
Okay, I meant to stop it like a minute ago, but anyway, I'm so maybe that meant that happened so that we can pray for L.A. Marzulli, so that he is to be prayed for more, because he does mighty work for Yahuwah God Almighty. He even says down through here, he said that some guy come up against him and threatened him and stuff because he was asking him, some archaeologists, he was asking him questions. He was asking the archaeologists questions about things like that just didn't add up, and the archaeologist threatened him. And you know what L.A. said? He said, you can do, what did he say? No one can hurt you unless the Most High allows it. I love that. No one can hurt me unless the Most High allows it. So he was telling the guy, no one can hurt him. He couldn't hurt him unless the Most High allowed it. So I love LA's strength and his determination, proving that the giants were here upon the earth. It is very important. Just on Caleb, probably about 2 weeks ago, which is another thing that's happened that's caused this this subject to come about. On Caleb, they said that a little boy come up to the mama after watching a movie. I think it was like maybe Noah's Ark, and asked her mom if he believed in giants. His mom believed in giants, and she said, I don't think so. I think they're just mythical creatures. And on Caleb, on the radio station, the Jesus Believing radio station, on Caleb, they said, you might be right. The Bible does speak about giants, but we're not really sure if they're real or not. What? They have hidden themselves so well. So anyway, okay. I live, and the reason why, a lot of the reason why I'm doing this is because I live in Tennessee, and the pastor that come up against me, it lives in Tennessee and is straight up an old timer from Tennessee. One that said that the giants were he was speaking symbolically in the word, and there is no seed of the serpent. He also told me that. And this is Mound Bottom. I live right around the corner from Mound Bottom. And that's a big mound right there. The Native Americans, alright, they were called mound builders. And here's some more of their mounds that are right here. Now, it's said, I ain't never seen this myself, but it's said on private property, a mile from this place is more mounds, and they're 4 times larger than this big one right here. Now, if you look, there's the high point, alright? I've stood on this high point many times, many. This high point is called Mace Bluff. Now, I didn't get a picture of it, and I'm not going to go through and look for a picture, but I meant to. On Mace Bluff, the reason it's called Mace Bluff is there's a mace. It's like a sword or some kind of killing tool. It's a killing tool that's carved around this rock up here on the ground, around the rock. These 2 rocks, this is where they sacrificed the Native Americans. This is where they sacrificed. Now look at this, y'all. When my neighbor come over and said something about these mounds, Yahusha just said, look into it. Not look into the mounds. I already know what the mounds produce, but look into Mound Bottom again, because I want to prove, not because I want to prove for my own proof or for my own glory. I want to prove it so that people will believe. This man don't believe in the supernatural. He don't believe that the giants could be real. The one that spoke to me about these mounds, arguing with me, battling with me over mounds being built by the Native Americans, and I was showing him proof with this book that I have that I took pictures of, and I'm going to show you pictures, not pictures of the mounds, but I'm going to show you. You'll see. I showed him that the mounds are not built by the Native Americans. They were straight up large amounts. Now this book doesn't say if the Native Americans built them or not. It doesn't say who built them. It just calls them the mound builders. But it does add it with the technology that they used. Native Americans have stories of the giants. L.A. Marzulli will say it, but literally the Native Americans themselves will tell you that the giants were here. There were red-headed giants that came down the map of the rivers. They followed the map of the rivers, the river map, whatever you want to call it. And they built these mounds for their worship, and they would sacrifice these people, their children, and they would commit suicide as well when they're cheap. Oh, we're fixing it. Okay. So let's get out of this so that I can go down here, because I messed up yesterday, but it'll be okay. Okay, let's read about a little bit about the Nephilim. I wasn't planning on doing it, but we're going to do it anyway, because this is important, and some of this stuff don't pay attention to, okay? The Nephilim giants were creatures, angels, blood with human blood, and whenever the flood happened, they died in the flood, but their spirit did not die. That's where demons come from. That's where the unclean spirits, the demons come from, is these giants, these Nephilim giants. Not people. People, when we die, we are human, and we go to sleep. The giants did not go to sleep waiting for their judgment. They are the disembodied spirits, the demons, okay? So, let's see. Meanwhile, because this is a subject around which much confusion swirls, it is necessary to retaliate that there is no suggestion either in Genesis or in Numbers, the only places they are mentioned in the Bible, that the Nephilim had fallen, even in the metaphorical sense of having sinned. On the contrary, far from being censored, they are described as mighty men of old, heroes, men of renown. Genesis is unequivocal, as the reader can confirm from the passage cited earlier, that it is human wickedness and the evil in human hearts that causes Yahuwah God to send the flood. A cataclysm that is survived not only by Noah's descendants, but by the Nephilim themselves who were still in Canaan, and still of great stature, as the book of Numbers attests, when the Israelites came to take possession of the promised land. After this brief excursion into the foundation of the Sentient Nephilim cult, let us return to the Watchers and who and what they might be. Enoch's condemnation of them for fornicating with human women finds its counterpart in Genesis, where, though not named, they are clearly the sons of Yahuwah God, who saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they had chosen. Thereafter, the story exactly what happened is only preserved in Enoch, where we're led to understand that the Watchers taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And that's they came down and they taught the daughters of men roots, how to use alchemy, how to make weapons of war, astrology. So that's this building of the ancient technology. This is what the angels, the Nephilim, the Watchers came and did, and them having these children had the same knowledge of this technology, and it all just flows together. Okay, turning now to another of the non-canonical scriptures, the Book of Jubilees, which purports to be a revelation given by God to Moses. We read of the Watchers again, and in context that brings us back to the Sabians and Haran, according both to Islamic historian Mawdudi and the Christian chronicler J. Bar Hebraeus. Haran was originally founded by Canaan. Haran was originally founded by Canaan, the great-grandson of Noah. By definition, therefore, though early Haran is a post-diluvian city, Canaan, sometimes the name is spelled Canaan, was the son of Arpachshad. Oh, I don't want to redo it. I'm not redoing this. Okay. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. And he found a writing which from generation had carved on the rock, and he read what thereon, and he transcribed it, and sinned owing to it, for he contained the teaching of the Watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun, moon, and stars, and all the signs of heaven. And let's stop right there. Okay, the Enochian language, there are thin layers of sheets of glass, or I believe it's glass, that have all types of different language at CERN, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, Switzerland. They thin sheets, and they say that it's got the Enochian language on it. It's the Enochian language. That's what this is talking about. I believe it 100%. I believe it. Please forgive my non-being able illiterate self. You know what I mean, Vern? Sometimes these names are very peculiar, and I am from Tennessee, but I'm learning just like everybody else of how to speak some of this stuff. A little at a time. I get frustrated, but praise Yahushua. We want to praise Yahushua. Okay. Were these Watchers the emissaries of lost civil? Oh, here then is the origin of the star worship of the Sabians, traced all the way back to the mysterious Watchers. However, they were, whatever they were, who settled in the Near East in antediluvian times, taught our ancestors forbidden knowledge, broke some fundamental commandment by mating with human women, and as a result remembered as being responsible for the great global cataclysm of the deluge. Were the Watchers the emissaries of lost civilization of the Ice Age? Perhaps wait, stop right there. In Antarctica, they say that there's this flat sheet of ice, and behind that sheet, it's possibly that things are living. I wouldn't put it past that this is their habitation. You know, in 2 Peter, it describes the dark habitation that they're locked up in until the time appointed. And they, there are many stories, I believe, in journals. I believe that Columbus had wrote in a journal as well that out of the ocean would come forth these ships, spaceships. These UFOs come from the fallen angels. The Nephilim, the giants, their children, have to have bodies to inhabit. They've created bodies. They have created alien bodies. Maybe they've created alien bodies to look like their parents. We don't know what these fallen angels look like. We have no idea. None. But we know what Aleister Crowley was shown, what he drew. We know what other people are shown when they're abducted. Oh, and if you're ever abducted, just use the name of Yahushua, Jesus, in the name of Jesus, in your thoughts. You speak over and over the name of Jesus. Use Bible verses if you got them. Do it in the name of Jesus. I believe it. I ain't never had it happen to me, but I know it happens. But the word tells us that there is going to be a time that they're going to come and they're going to rule. These fallen angels, they're hidden under words as bulls. Look under H, concordance number H47. And look that concordance number up and look all those words up in that concordance number. But Psalms 50 describes to us pretty much the end time. And it's amazing what Psalms 50 describes. But if we go, the bulls, there's a Bible verse in there that's bulls. That's what took me to it today. He's talking about the angels. Not giants, I'm sorry, the angels. The bulls. He's talking about the angels. And what is this? The calf worship? What did they do in the desert? They built a calf out of all their earrings and their golds and their silvers and their things. Shiny, shiny things. These things are real. And the angels, they're the mighty one, stout-hearted, strong one, valiant, chief. Look it up yourself. Do your own research. But in Psalms 50, read Psalms 50. I didn't know if we were going to read it today, but I really want to get this out here because this is the land that I live close to. Yesterday, after talking to my neighbor and him bringing up this stuff about the mounds, I decided to look it up, and it just so happened I clicked on the right website, and I know y'all see what I see. I know you see the serpent. It is a serpent. All the way, it's wrapped, it's coiled, and look, in the head of the serpent is mound bottom. The mounds. These mounds are very specific, and there's Mace Bluff, the high point. It's like they're being, I'm not sure if that's the mouth. It could be the mouth. Could it be the mouth? I don't know. In a way, it looks like it could be, but in a way, it doesn't. But look at Bluff. Mace Bluff is right at this thing's head. Right at it. Where they would sacrifice their children and their wives and their family members and whatever else. But I think it was just their children and their wives. And they would feed their false gods these things. And this is where the mounds are. Now, this is Mound Bottom. Narrows of the Harpeth. Just up the river from Narrows of Harpeth is a horseshoe bend, Harpeth River, called Mound Bottom, consisting of several barrel mounds. Yep. Okay. So, what used to live here? Ancient, not yet civilization. Mesoamerica. The ancient ancestors of the Natchez are believed to have once been part of the Mesoamerican Empire. These ancient civilizations, such as the Incas, Aztecs, Mayans, and Toltecs, encompassed many parts of South America and ancient Mexico. The ancestors of the Natchez once inhabited the southwestern portion of the ancient Mexican Empire, but began to move northeast and finally settled upon the banks of the Mississippi in AD 700. The people retained many of the religious beliefs, ritual, and customs of the Mesoamericans. Quigualtam, famed for the Winterville mounds, are considered to be the ancestors of the Natchez. Now, I didn't want to read any of that. They had 4 social classes: the sons, the nobles, and the honored men and honored women, and the lower class known as the stinkers. I wouldn't want to be them. The people were sun worshippers, and the Natchez chiefs were called the Suns. The people were ruled by the Great Sun regarding all civil matters, and his brother, Tattooed Serpent, in matters of war. The Great Sun and the Tattooed Serpent lived at the Grand Village. Lesser sons from the royal family ruled other Natchez villages. Human sacrifice and ritual suicide formed a part of their culture. The wives and members of the entourage of the Great Sun and the Tattooed Serpent, up to 100 people, were expected to perform ritual suicide upon the death of the chief, so that they might accompany him in the afterlife. The ancient Mississippian culture of the mound builders in North America were major elements in the southeastern ceremonial complex of American prehistory. The ancient Natchez culture ended with series of Natchez War, 1716 to 1729, against the French. Okay. Now, the painted symbols displayed on the top of the Natchez Sun Temple are very similar to the mythical beings called the Payas and the Great Serpent that featured strongly in the Mississippian culture. And a lot of what I've shown on here from this book it talks about all the ancient technology and the symbols and whatnot. We're going to talk about this stuff anyway. Okay, the Natchez Temple was used for elaborate funeral rituals, human sacrifice, including the ritual suicides. The people believed that the underworld was inhabited by spirit snakes or serpents, and the upper world was inhabited by spirit birds, and the people of the earth who were ruled by powerful spirits like the Payas and the serpent. Let's stop there. I just told you about Psalms 50. Please go in and read Psalms 50, and we might even read it before this is up, because it talks about the fowls of the mountains and the wild beasts of the fields, and this is the same stuff, man. It's the same stuff. Okay, let's go down here. The origin of the horned serpent symbol derives from the ancient Mississippian culture of North America. The culture of the mound builders. The mound builders associated great mystical value to the serpent. Some Indian tribes still retain some elements of the Mississippi culture. The Avanu, which is what we're going to be reading about, I got to get used to that word, and the horned serpent both feature the Hopi and other Pueblo art. The Navajo creation story features myths relating to twins and a horned monster. Their sacred rites, myths, and symbols and are presumed to descend from the Mississippians. The horned serpent symbol was usually viewed as being Bengan or benevolent. Please excuse how I cannot read sometimes. Although a fearful creature, whereas the great serpent was usually represented as a malevolent creature. I'm not redoing this. The meaning of the horned serpent symbol. The horned serpent symbol, one of the many snake-like deities depicted with horns that figures in the mythology of the most Native American tribes. The horned serpent is associated with rain, thunder, and waterways. The zigzag and the meandering lines of the serpent or snake are symbolic of water, are symbolic of water. The horned serpent symbol meaning represented life and the renewal of life, just like water. The horned serpent was the feared guardian of life and the force of life. The Choctaw horned serpent deity called, I ain't saying it, is seen as a source of inspiration. Okay, let's stop right there and let's go over here. I want to show y'all what these zigzags actually mean. We're going to go to this one. Okay. I tried to get it to where we could read it better, but I'm going to read it for you. It is possible that the spirals are a symbol of the labyrinth path to the underworld. The concentric circles could be connected with the sun worship. The areas perhaps represent the great earth mother, protectors of the dead and goddess of harvest and fruitfulness. The waves, snake patterns, and zigzags may stand for the sea of the living world, an important force, but they may also evoke the celestial sea of religious meditation. What is going on here? Okay, let's go up here. The zigzag pattern could resemble the nodes and antinodes of frequency waves. The spiral and concentric circles are the movement of radio or microwaves. Interesting. Consisting of a circle in the center with radiating lines, these carvings are regarded as images of the solar god and goddess, false god and false goddess. They are cited as evidence to prove that Norwegian and its sister mounds were used as solar observatories in the 3rd millennium BC. Some archaeologists believe that mound builders used the openings to allow the spirits of the dead to enter or leave the tomb. Historians think this specially designed roof box of Norwegian and other chambered Newgrange and other chambered tombs of this period have alignments allowing the sun's rays into the rear end of the mound, a carefully designed way to glorify their sacred solar false god and false goddess. According to legends, the great mound of Newgrange was built by a group of invaders who came from the sky or from the South Islands of the world. They were said to have emerged from a dense cloud and brought with them magical tools, including a large deep pot that could restore the dead to life. Another piece of Irish literature mentions that the mound was associated with supernatural creatures, or the false sun god, the false lord of light. This is Lucifer, and this is exactly what the Native Americans did and used and worshipped. And I didn't get a picture of the zigzag patterns that they're going to be talking about, snake zigzag patterns, but you see, I mean, it's all the same stuff. The avian is probably Avanu is probably the most famous horned serpent deity. Antlers and horns signify spiritual power, especially when applied to animals that did not ordinarily have them, such as birds, panthers, and snakes. Let me make sure that we didn't miss anything on this. No. The meaning of Avanu symbol. The Avanu symbol is one of the many snake-like deities that figure in the mythology of some Native American tribes, notably the Pueblo. The Avanu, and if I'm saying that wrong, please forgive me. The Avanu symbol represented a benevolent but fearful creature. The meaning of the Avanu symbol is the storm bringer and connected with lightning, thunderstorms, and the guardian of the water. Yahusha, God Almighty, thunders with his voice. He is the storm breaker. He is the lightning bringer, the all-powerful light. Yahusha, praise Jesus. No other. Okay. Let's go back. The Avanu was also revered as the changer of seasons and the bringer of sudden and sometimes violent change. what does Daniel say? He'll come to change the times and the seasons. And I know that you know, like, this is like, he brings the changes the seasons. That's what they're saying. But in the end, this is what they're eventually working to, is rising this false god, this false serpent, Kabbalist false god. Okay, so this is what it is. And you see, praise Yahushua, you see. The zigzag and meandering curves of the serpent or snake are suggested of the flowing water of the zigzag of lightning. Isn't that what that just said, talking about energy? In some tribes, a Vanyu is believed to be the companion to the Kokopelli. Spiral symbols mimic the coiled serpent, like the Avanyu, representing the underlying mystery that people have felt towards the snake and the serpent and their place in mythology. Antlers and horns signify spiritual power, especially when applied to animals. Okay, we already read that. Oh, praise Jesus. He didn't want us to miss that. I was going to go right past that. You see how Yahushua works. You see that. Hallelujah. Okay. The most ancient Native American Indian symbols, like the Avanyu symbol, came from the Mississippian culture, which was established in 1000 AD and continued to 1550 AD onward. The Mississippian Native Americans were the last of the mound builder cultures of North America in the Midwestern. Okay. Now, let's talk about all over the world. In African mythology, an ancient false god created the sun, moon, and thereafter the earth, which he fashioned from a lump of clay. The false god also created a set of twins, the primitive beings called Numo. The twins were half human and half snake, according to the ethnic group of Mali in Upper Volta called the Dogon. The ancestral spirits were immortal, said to have originated from another planet and graciously combined their DNA with animals on Earth. In Central America, the ancient Mayan book, Kalambalam, claims that the first people, Chilamblam, claims that the first people to inhabit the Yucatan were the Canis, or people of the serpent. Sources cite the Chinese as being led across the sea by the serpent god, false god, Itzamna, Itzamna, who ruled by his, I know this word, esoteric knowledge rather than strength. I'm so sorry for my illiterate self. Feathered serpents were also depicted in much of their art, possibly implying the creatures had the ability to fly. After the Maya, the Aztecs too worshipped this false serpent god. Quetzalcoatl, and that's only because I've read it many times, was a plumed serpent false god who brought the knowledge of science and mathematics to his people. I'm so okay. Though the serpent false god is depicted as a dragon in Chinese mythology, sources claim it is most likely referring to the legend winged serpent in Hindu mythology called the Naga. Human beings were allegedly created by Fuxi and Nuwa. According to ancient Chinese legend, the male and female pair had serpent bodies and human heads. The duo were said to contribute to the development of the Chinese writing systems and perhaps expound on the personality traits of intelligence, wisdom, and communication that the serpent represents in the Chinese zodiac. In Egypt, the serpent is associated with immortality and the false gods in the Old and Middle Kingdom periods in Egyptian mythology. A snake was depicted on tombs carrying Pharaoh off into the sky to the land of the false gods. The snake came to be a symbol of kingship around this time and appeared on the headdresses of the pharaohs. In the New Kingdom period, however, when Egypt was invaded and taken over by the Hyksos, Hyksos, the snake represented the invaders and was therefore viewed as evil. The Egyptians also believed the false sun god Amun could turn into a snake in order to regenerate himself. They purported that the underworld was guarded by Nehabaku, Nehebkau, and a two-headed snake who offered protection and represented Apophis as a giant poisonous water snake embodying chaos. Apollo. The Egyptian symbol of the snake in a circular shape eating its own tail represented renewal and resurrection. It was called the Ouroboros and was depicted on a shrine of Tutankhamun's tomb. It's only because I'm reading it that I can't say it. In alchemy, the Ouroboros symbol appears again. Tutankhames, tomb. It was called the Ouroboros and was depicted on a shrine on Tutankhamens's tomb. In alchemy, the Ouroboros symbol appears again. The alchemical cross also features a crucified snake and represents the mythical potion, the elixir of life. I pray that y'all forgive me. Oh my goodness. I know these words, and I think it's because I'm having problems with some words that it's causing me to... Woo! Oh my goodness. I'm not redoing this. In the name of Yahushua, please just bear with me, because this is very important. I want Tennesseans to see this. Okay, in India, we're almost done too. In India, the Nagas were purported to be an ancient serpent race which descended from the sky. The ancient book of Dasein, possibly one of the oldest Sanskrit sources, speaks of the ancient Indian myths. The Nagas were said to be human above the waist and possessed the tail of a dragon or snake. They could also turn themselves into either fully human or fully serpentine form. Since female Nagas were portrayed as extremely beautiful, Indian dynasties claimed their family origin as a union of human and Nagi, a female Naga. Whoops. In Christian texts, in early versions of the Old Testament, references is made to a serpent false god ancestors, but the references have been eliminated or interpreted as merely allegorical through numerous translations and adaptations. Serpents were certainly associated with Moses, however. He was instructed by Yahuwah God to make a serpent head idol. When those bitten by a snake looked at the serpent head, their bite was completely healed. Moses' staff was also reported to have magical properties, turning into a snake and back into a staff again on one occasion. And in Genesis, one cannot forget the renowned serpent in the Garden of Eden, found curled around the tree of life. Greeks and Romans. Now, what they just said, wait a minute, let's back up. In the Christian one, so much is said about the serpent, you know, around the staff, the two. It has a lot to do with the poison of the wormwood, the poppy, the Ross, but we'll get into that another day. So, you know, just take this that I just read with a grain of salt, okay? Take everything with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Greeks and Romans. In Greek and Roman mythology, the snake symbolizes the guardian spirit and was inscribed on many altars. In the Temple of Athena in Athens, a snake held in a cage was believed to be a reincarnation of Eratosthenes, an early king in ancient Greece. A snake was likewise kept at the shrine of Apollo, where it was tended to by a naked virgin. In Greek mythology, and Greek and Roman mythology, the snake symbolizes a guardian spirit and was inscribed. In Greek mythology, Medusa and other gorgons, female creatures, had sharp fangs and live snakes for hair. The association of women and serpents extended to Medea, who was pulled in a chariot led by serpents, as well as the Minoan snake, Minoan snake, false goddess, who held a snake in each hand. Celtic, Norse, and American beliefs. The Celtics associated snakes with wisdom, fertility, and immortality, intended to connect them with healing pools and water. They apparently ascribed the same properties to the serpent's egg, a smooth egg-shaped stone believed to have magical powers. Their altars, too, had snakes inscribed on them frequently. Norse mythology also incorporates serpents. Jormungand was the serpent that guards Midgard. Its body forms a circle around the whole Midgard, the home of humankind. Native American Indian tribes regarded the snake as a symbol of fertility and rebirth. In the mythology, Unhcegila was a giant serpent-like creature that could swallow a human in one gulp. Native American mythology also included a symbol that represented a snake deity called Avanu that brought storms to the land. Even in present day, serpents appear in the symbol representing the medical fraternity. Two snakes wrapped around a staff, otherwise known as caduceus. Caduceus. The symbol represents the staff of Hermes. Okay. Alright. This definitely links every one of them. Everything that I just read brings every bit of it back to the Mississippians, the Native Americans, and this is why scientists have a supercomputer, a D-Wave computer over in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. This is why they are digging here in these areas in Tennessee, because the mound builders knew what was here. They walked here. You know, they are the giants, man. I mean, the technology is so laid out, so perfect, so set up, so perfect that there's no denying that these things are set up just right, so that we see, and all these ancient religions have worshipped this stuff, and this is what the Freemasons worship. You know, they literally, have these zigzag patterns and use these zigzag patterns on everything, and they resonate energy. You know, that's what these patterns do. They're magical symbols, and I didn't even screenshot that one, to try to help you understand the demonic sigils, these things that they draw in the air, the sky, these symbols that they're drawing, they really are resonating energy and power. You know, there is going to be a UFO that's going to show up eventually. It's going to, and when it does, people aren't even going to be able to grasp an understanding of what's happening. You better hope and pray that you believe in Jesus, Yahusha, Jesus. Just please be praying that you will not be led the wrong way. You know, don't believe in these aliens. Don't believe if they say go into the desert. Don't believe. You know, the Egyptians, they had their false god that they pretty much said was an alien. I mean, he's straight up raw. He came to them in the desert, as a light. That's exactly what this stuff is that we just read. This light. But what did we come over here for? I wanted to show you something because these past few days, just so much study has been going on, and the World Wide Web was created straight for deception. I mean, it is part of the web, the cloud, the web, to pull us in. It is a war on the saints. There is a huge war that is on the saints. Did you know that the word for deliver in this Psalms 50:15, that word for deliver actually means, I would even praise Yahushua, he blesses us. He blesses us to see and know these things. It actually means suit up, arm self, equip self for fight, soldier, make fat, loose, prepare, ready, put off, take away, withdraw, present, strengthen, strip, to pull off. Halas 2502. And he says in 50:15, and I call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Suit up for army. Suit up for war. This is what the war is on, the war on the saints. You just heard L.A. Marzulli say it in the beginning of this. He said that all these monuments, these ancient artifacts, they are literally set up perfectly as a old internet system, an ancient internet system. And look where we are today. And who knows, they could have lived this way back then. In this book of this, God's machine, the fallen angels machine, there we go. Fallen angels machine, the false gods, because that's what the false gods are. It talks about, I done forgot. Praise Jesus. I know that you would. Oh, they had in the, what is this, the Mesoamerican, I think this is the Aztecs here, the Aztecs. There's a picture of their false god, and he literally has a thing on the side of his head. What is that called? A Bluetooth. It looks just like a Bluetooth. And over in India, there are statues, and these statues actually have a cell phone. There's a cell phone in one of the statues' hands, and Manny off of something speaks of this whole this statue that I'm speaking about. Well, look it up yourself. But here, I don't know if I can show you all that. That is a picture of their false god, and he would fly in this flying machine. He would fly on this flying machine. Let me show you. And this flying machine looks just like a motorcycle. Just like a motorcycle. The motorcycles that we use today, and Richie from Boston, he's brought this stuff up. These motorcycles that they drive today, that's exactly what they drove and rode in. That's exactly what that is. I've been talking all about this stuff. Didn't even know we were going to be talking about the Giants recently, and bam, here we are. All this ancient technology is exactly what the Freemason Kabbalists do, work with and operate. That's why they got their hand in every building that is being built, because they know that these buildings are straight up being built. There was an apartment complex that was being built the other day. I just seen the frame of the apartment complex. It had no paint on nothing. It was just the boards of the apartment complex. The apartment complex was set up just like an ancient false god temple. It looked just like it. Just like it. Without all that paint and your windows and stuff. It was just like it. I'm telling you, this stuff, it is real. They stopped us from building our own houses so that they could put us in houses that are straight up houses that have been built for their little temples. Their false sun god worships. Their false sun and moon god and goddess. It's exactly what all this is. I don't know why Yahusha brought us over here to look at this. We're fixing to start talking about it. Well, one day, hopefully, about the Nike symbol, because there's a lot going on with the Nike symbol. This swoosh, it came from Neith, which is ancient Egyptian, and Neith is Athena, and Neith is the Nile, and the Nile River. Just so much is it's all connected, y'all. Every bit of it. And you heard L.A. Marzulli talk about the opiate connection. Dude, I did a video on this not a while back, not out, but Yahusha threw me, talking about how in Switzerland, whenever they were going to open up that Large Hadron Collider, was going to open that portal up, they had a huge opiate overdose, epidemic going on there, huge, and they opened up pump you full of your own drugs, rehab centers, but they pump you full of drugs yourself. You know, you can just do your own drugs. Here, America's just fading away with their opioid crisis. They're just, you know, the epidemic is just going on and fading away. But Tennessee is getting worse. Tennessee is getting worse. You know why? Because Tennessee has said, no, but not because they've said, because they actually are digging in to a mirrored dimension. The opioid crisis goes right along with this epidemic, with these phones, with technology, with the UFOs, right along with it. Pharmakia, sorcery. This is what pharmakia means. That sorcery. Praise Yahusha for blessing us with knowledge. I pray that Tennesseans wake up, Tennessee. I say this for you. You were so blinded, nobody wants to look up and look in the sky and see that there's spring or sky everywhere. Everywhere, all over the place. Our skies are being sprayed. We've got stuff that they're doing right in front of our face. Right in front of our face. Symbols. Stuff. Look at those symbols. Look at them. Can we deny this? Can we deny that the symbols are here? That they're doing them right in open?
They're cloudy.
Right in our face.
With a slight chance of
But
sun.
nobody wants to look up. Tennessee, we are being blinded.
I mean,
All over the world.
we
are being blinded.
I would say that's a beautiful
Wake
scenery
up
there, but
and
that
realize
is
what
just-
reality you're in.
that's
Stop
symbols
thinking you can
in
get
the
taken
sky.
away. You're not gonna get taken away. We are in it, son. We are in it. The cloud
Y'all ever listen to
mind,
Caleb?
the hive
We do.
mind, it has begun.
Yeah, it is sometimes.
How can we
There
deny
goes our
that this is what we're in?
Caleb is
I am stunned at my fellow Tennesseans and at the pastors. They don't want to listen about the giants. One of these days, Yahusha's going to bring somebody down here, a true archaeologist. It's going to dig in these parts down here, and they're going to prove that the giants were here on this earth. And they're going to prove that the flood happened here in Tennessee. And then somebody might wake up. Then some Tennesseans might see some things. Well, I thank y'all so much for listening. I believe that Yahusha is done with this one. I've tried and showed and talked about it enough. This is the land of the Harpeth River, the Narrows of the Harpeth. This is where I live. That, my friends, is a snake. And that, my friends, is a snake head. And that, my friend, Mace Bluff, that's where they sacrificed their people to their false gods. Right in the head of that snake, right above the head of that snake. Go to Enter the Stars. He's been doing stuff about Miley Cyrus and her new tattoo she's got, which goes back to this family, this specific family that has all these traits that from this certain tribe, ancient family, British family, I believe, French family. Is it French family or British family? Did I take it off? Probably, because I didn't get to it quick enough. Yeah, go to Enter the Stars and listen to his story on this family. Geneva, that's it. This is it. Talking about this serpent. Maybe not. Yeah, it's Geneva. I know that's what it is. I'm not gonna read that, but that he did the research. So go on his channel and do research on his on Enter the Stars and see what I'm talking about. It's a serpent eating the children, and it's just amazing what Yahushua has blessed him with to see. Well, I praise Yahushua so much for blessing me with y'all to listen. Look, here's CERN. CERN knows, whenever the building burned, the church that burned, inside that church was these pillars that was in there. And there's CERN right there. Bam, there he is. And there's his name right there. CERN. That is what they worship. That's what the Large Hadron Collider is set up as, is Cernunnos. For Cernunnos, the false god Cernunnos, which is this horned serpent that has these rings. That's what he is, that's what it is. Well, y'all have blessed saying the name of Yahusha, and I didn't know all that was going to happen, but hey, I can get it off my thing now. There he is. And look, he's got deer. He's not a serpent. I thought he was a serpent, but he's holding a serpent, okay? He's got a ring. He's got deer. That's everything about this picture reminds me of Native Americans, straight up. There's your zigzag patterns and your waves, your microwaves. There's something, this stuff is real. In the Freemasons book, they actually have the alchemy tree, and in this alchemy tree, it's got these deer. I just realized that. We're gonna look this up because I think that it's got these deer all around this alchemy tree. Oh, I thought I'd be able to find it better than that. I guess not. Okay, I guess we're not gonna show it. Oh my goodness, that'd be a blessing if we could just find that real quick. Because seriously, all this stuff is connected. Everything the Freemasons do, worship, everything is surrounded by this ancient technology. This black cube, which is Metatron, and we have stuff on Metatron too, an understanding of what Metatron is and who Metatron is. It is the Kabbalist false sun god, which, dude, goes back to exactly what the Hindus do and the Buddhists, and you name it, son, they're on it. Ancient technology. And we've learned today why this ancient technology is around and about. Because they want their god, their false god, to come. But not just that, it has to come. These things have to happen for prophecy to be fulfilled. It is. Praise Jesus. We were going to find it before I got off here. Let me see if I can get that. Are y'all seeing that? Okay. Yeah, I know you are. Look at the deer. Look at the deer. There they are. See? They're embedded all around there. And I found out that the deer actually represent like something. The deer are symbolic for something. There's notables. Oh, there's my dog. He's giving me butter. Butter's giving me my cue. Have a blessed day in the name of Yahushua. Thanks so much for listening. Tennessee, wake up, get a concordance, get a Bible, and start reading yourself in the name of Yahushua. Hallelujah.